Hi students, Mr. Lane again. Today we are going to continue with our chess set, and in doing so we're going to build the next piece, which is the rook. The reason why I'm having you build the rook is because usually when I show people how to build a chess set, I go from some of the easiest parts, which is the pawn for instance, to the next one, which I believe is the rook. Now what I feel makes the rook unique is the top portion of it, the part that makes it look like a castle, the parapet, if you will. Um, so when you build your piece, I'm going to be looking for certain consistencies. Like, I'll be looking like for the base. Does the base match the other piece? And then with the top half, does it have the look of a castle? If you have those, then you're not going to get marked off. And again, I'm going to look for consistency with your pawn. So it should look like it's part of the same chess set. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to go and I'm going to select my pawn. And to keep it consistent, I'm going to press Control D to duplicate it. And once I duplicate it, you see I just pulled it right out. So I now have two pawns that are same, but my pawns are all grouped. And I need to go back to individual components. And you saw it glitched out there. We need to get back to where it's an individual component. So up here, if we look, we can see that we have ungroup, which is just Control Shift and G. So with our pawn selected, the copy, I'm going to press Control Shift G. As you can see, it goes back to the individual parts of our chess piece. So if I look at my rook, like I said, the key things I'm looking for are the top portion, and that the rest of the piece looks similar. We have the base, which is the same, so this part is good. This part right here. But this top part, we need to change up. So I'm just going to go ahead and press Delete on my keyboard to get rid of it. Now the rook is a little taller, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the little ridge that I have here. I'm going to raise this up a little bit. And now we have to build the top portion. And one way to do that is we can pull out a cylinder. And when we pull out our cylinder, again, play with the sides, make it as smooth as you want. Pull mine up and above. And granted, I have this big old giant, what looks like a giant cheese block. Oh, look, there's another duplicate. We don't want that. What we do want, though, is for this top portion to be lined up. So I'm going to make a square around my objects so they're all selected. I'm going to go to Align, which is letter L. I'm going to press the letter L, or you can always click there. And then I'm going to make sure they line up. And if you remember from our last lesson, to line it up, we have to click on, say, in this case, the center here and the center point there. Now this is too high because we have this space. We don't want that. We need it to touch. So I'm going to deactivate Align, and I can tell it's activated because we have the little points, little black points. I'm going to press L again. I'm going to click off so that way nothing is selected. I'm going to click on the top half. And then I'm going to choose this arrow right here and just bring it down. I don't mind if it goes through it a little. That's fine. If it goes through it, then I know that when I group this, it's going to be one solid object. I'm okay with that. But again, this is too wide. So I can always click on a corner. I'm going to manually adjust this. I'm going to try, I'm going to say 15. 15. A little better. Not where I want it. So I'm going to realign it again. Try again. Actually, that's not too bad. We'll keep that. Oh, this transparency, all I did was press the letter T so I could see through it. So now that I have what I think is a good, decent top for my chess piece, we have to cut into it to create a negative space. Now, yes, I know some of you might be like, well, Mr. Lane, can we just like make little boxes? Yeah, you could. You could take a little box and then put on the top, and then you're stuck trying to, make it all nice and neat. And that just ends up getting to be messy. Instead, I'm going to work a little smarter with this. I'm going to grab a box, and it has the hole already set. If you weren't sure about this, I think I went over this. You can make an object solid, or you can turn it into a hole, which creates our negative space. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this super, not too skinny, but small enough to where I think it's going to make a nice space between the parts. And actually, there might be a better way to do this. You don't have to worry about dragging it up. What we could do is, I know we lined this up, I'm sorry about this. What we could do is we could just take this back. And I'm going to make sure it's on this ground plane, the plane with the grid. I'm going to bring this down. And you can see that it shows you how far up or down the ground plane is, or how far the object is from the ground plane. In this case, I can always just go here and type in 0. Boom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both objects here, the hole and the little circular portion. I'm going to press the letter L to once again align my two shapes. And then once my shapes are lined up, I'm going to press L again to deactivate. And this is what I'm going to do next. I am going to select the hole that I've made. I'll make it a little smaller. And then I'm going to raise it. And then the very next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control D to duplicate it. And you can tell, especially with an object that's a hole, you can tell you duplicated it because you notice how it got darker. So I know that that's a duplicate. I'm going to go right here to my rotation arrow. I'm going to rotate it. And remember, when rotating, if you're rotating inside this inner circle, it snaps like 22 something degrees. Versus if you rotate on the outside and it looks like it moves smoother. Well, I want it to snap only because I want it here at this nice 45. I'm going to select my object again, press Control D again, rotate again. I'm going to do this one more time. Oops. Make sure we rotate, not change the shape. So now we have this little like 8 setup. I'm going to do one more thing before I group this. I'm going to select my circle. I'm going to press Control D to duplicate that. I'm going to pull a duplicate off to the side, and I'll show you why in a little bit. But first, let's take care of this. With my object here, I'm going to select all the holes and that bottom like cheese circle. And then I'm going to group it. And if you forgot how to group already, remember, it's right up here. It's Control G. So I'm going to press Control G. And that looks like a nice portion to the top of our castle. But there's a reason why I pulled this to the side. And here it is. I'm going to take this circle. I'm going to hold Alt and the Shift key. And I'm going to move this inward. And notice that it's adjusting the size of my object. Not that much. I'm going to raise it up a little bit more. Don't accidentally hold Shift like I just did. And then I'm going to go over here, the properties, and whole. Now, if you can't find your properties menu, remember the shape has to be selected. And then if you only have this much, click on this down arrow, the down caret, and you'll see the properties here. We want whole. And because we want it as a whole, I can take this over here, select both my objects, press L to activate. One's here, that's already centered, so that's good. Press L to deactivate align. I'm going to click here on the whole object. I'm going to raise it up. Don't go too high. If you're not sure, select the solid object and press T. You can see how high you're raising it. I think the height I have it now is pretty decent. So I'm going to leave it where it is. I'll select this and press T again. And finally, I'm going to select both objects, press Control G. So now it looks like a proper top portion of a rook. With this, I'm going to bring this back over. Again, I'm going to select all my objects, align it, align the center point here, align the center point there, press L to turn the alignment off, click off of it, and then click back on just for the top half. And if you have problems like selecting things like this to raise it up, you can always hold Control and press the up arrow on your keyboard. You hold Shift while holding Control and up, it'll move faster. Anyway, once I have that raised up where I think it's just right, this is where we're going to turn off the orthographic view so we can see it from the side definitely. You can tell that this piece is now definitely not exactly on top of it, but just enough. Here we go back to perspective. With this, I'm going to select my objects, press Control G. It's going to group it. I'm just going to change my color. And there you have it, the rook. In the next video, we will discuss on how to make a bishop. All right, go ahead and get the crack in. I'll see you in the next video.